Welcome to Synthesize This. In this episode, we will be synthesizing bell sounds on the Dave Smith Instruments Pro 2. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do, as always, is initialize a basic patch. So we hit global, go to 34, hit right now. So in order to get a bell sound, basically what we want is to reproduce a metallic sound. And to get a metallic sound, what we want is lots of inharmonic frequencies. And the way to get that is through FM synthesis. Thankfully, the Pro 2 has 4 sine oscillators, which we could use for that purpose. So let's start by making all 4 oscillators sine waves. We're only hearing oscillator 1 now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use oscillator 1 and 3 as carriers, so you're going to be able to hear those. And I'm going to use 2 and 4 as modulators, so you're not going to be able to hear those. 2 will modulate 1 and 4 will modulate 3. What we want to do is have the modulator frequency to be higher than the carrier. So we're going to set oscillator 1 to G sharp 3 and oscillator 2, which is the first modulator, we're going to set to B5. Oscillator 3, which is the second carrier, we're going to set to D sharp 0. Oscillator 4, which is the second modulator, we're going to set to F sharp 4. So obviously you can still hear just a single sine wave because only oscillator 1 is audible and none of the FM has been routed yet. So let's bring oscillator 3 by hiring its volume. As you can see, oscillator 3 is D sharp 0, so it's super low. And that'll give us that kind of low thump of larger bells. And finally, all we have to do is route the FM. So we're going to go to oscillator 1, set the FM amount to about 70. And we're going to do the same amount for oscillator 3, 70. So bells have definitely a long release time. They have a quick attack, and then they sort of ring out over time. As you can see, some ranges on the keyboard sound better than others. So you can get sort of xylophone or and you can go all the way down. Sort of more church-like bells. Let's start with the bucket brigade delay. Set quite a bit of feedback. What I'm doing there, just adding a bit of delay from the other delays to simulate a very crude reverb by having lots of short delays with large feedback. Here it almost sounds like a steel drum. We can add the sequencer. And of course, you can play around with the wave shape, the frequency, whatever you like, and you might end up with weird non-bell sounds, but that's kind of the fun of synthesizing, is you never know what you're going to get. You might discover something you weren't actually going after. Don't be afraid to try out sounds all across the keyboard, because as I said, some settings might sound good in one register, then you try it somewhere else and it's... So for example, if I was synthesizing the bell sound while playing up here, I would have thought that this is a pretty terrible bell sound. But then you bring it down here, it's not too bad. So don't be afraid to experiment. And this again goes to show that the way you play a sound has a lot to do with sort of the illusion of what you're trying to emulate. So if I play a bell like this, obviously it doesn't sound like a church bell, but if you add the right amount of delay, bit of reverb, and then you sort of strike it like you would strike a bell. That was a terrible example. Let's get something better. You get the point. Hey guys, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Remember, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and share it with your friends. Also, be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with future videos like this one. I'll see you guys later.